What is up, everybody? It's Chris Tagger, the average guy. Whatever you want to call me, I don't care, just keep it nice. But let's talk about this upcoming professional football season being the 100th in NFL history. So we here at SRS wanted to take a trip down memory lane and take a look how it all got started. But before we do that, if you could please leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're new, it would be greatly appreciated. So let's get into it. So since the time of its creation, the league has changed significantly, even though Cardinals fans have still suffered since day one. With how massive of a sport American football has grown to be, the NFL has been the only league to provide pro football to the world for an extended period of time, as they've seemingly wiped out all competition as easily as a Thanos snap. Since I'm sure you're aware how the NFL stands now and how it's been recently, let's take a look back to the first season of the NFL and what the league was really like. Also, it should be noted that if anyone is coming here for actual footage of the first NFL season, you're going to be greatly disappointed. The games weren't televised, so therefore we don't have any. So aside from the basics of team uniform differences, old school leather helmets, and let's say team diversity, the league was arguably better back then because it didn't have non-pass interference calls screwing teams out of Super Bowls and didn't have massive brain damage problems. Okay, that's it. Video's over.
I call the shots, I run the balls, I'm Michael Jordan.
No, I'm just kidding. So to start off, you need to know that the league wasn't even called the NFL. It was the APFA, which stood for the American Professional Football Association. The APFA sounds more like a government agency or an antitrust organization. Yeah, but I digress. The teams that competed in the first APFA season were as follows: the Buffalo All-Americans, the Rock Island Independents, the Dayton Triangles, the Rochester Jeffersons, the Akron Pros, the Hammond Pros, the Canton Bulldogs, the Columbus Panhandles, the Decatur Staleys, the Detroit Heralds, the Cleveland Tigers, the Chicago Tigers, and the Chicago Cardinals, who eventually moved to Phoenix and played even worse football than they did 100 years ago. Oh, and there was also a team called the Muncie Flyers who played in only one game, which they lost. So talk about long-suffering fan bases, the Browns and Lions fans have nothing on the Flyers fans, whose team hasn't won ever. Muncie has been waiting for the Flyers to return to the league and get that one singular win that's been unfinished business for their fans since like the Woodrow Wilson administration. I also enjoy that there were two different team names that got repeated, with the Pros and the Tigers. Imagine if that happened today, like if Roger Goodell was just to say, hey guys, we're adding a team in Wyoming, and we're going to call them the Wyoming Patriots. And if at that same time a new team popped up in the league called the, South Dakota 49ers. Two different teams used names another one had. I still can't wrap my head around that. Basically, the first league meeting was running a little late, and they said, screw it, you guys are doubling up.
Okay.
And to top it off, the schedule also wasn't even set at the beginning of the year. Teams just scheduled games as they went along. So you had the owner of the Bulldogs calling up the owner of the Panhandles, who was like, hey, you guys want to play on Wednesday? And they played a game. Anyway, the first game involving an APFA team in history was between one team from the league and one team that there's no record of in their standings. The Independents ended up beating the St. Paul Ideals, who actually existed, and the score was 48-0, by the way. Picture the controversy, and if NFL team now just called up like John Bon Jovi and was like, hey, we're going to play the Philadelphia Soul in week 1. Sound good? Yeah, that'll fly. Meanwhile, during this chaos, the Akron Pros won the championship, except they really didn't, which brings about even more chaos. Not even including the fact that the Pros' first official game was against someone called the Wheeling Stogies. If who you look them up, the team played one game, and a simple Google search shows evidence that they were actually just like a minor league baseball team, which is cheating the scheduling system to its absolute finest. There wasn't even an actual championship game until 1932, so up until that point, the teams just voted on who should be league champion. Akron happened to go 8-0-3, and because they never lost, they were awarded the league championship. The Pros were awarded their trophy, which was, I'm not kidding here, was called the Silver Loving Cup. And then that brought on more pandemonium. The Decatur Staleys and the Buffalo All-Americans called BS on the league because each of them had more wins than the Pros, and they never lost to the Pros either. I'm honestly very surprised either team tried to O.J. Simpson their way into reclaiming their trophies.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up because I tried getting some of those back a few years ago. I mean, you know, since they were mine to begin with.
It's almost just like a big Game of Thrones, where all these teams were claiming to be the rightful champions of the league, and they should be the ones to sit on the championship throne. Or kinda, you know, what UCF was doing. You can't even say, it's the olden days, they hadn't invented team organization yet in sports. Well, that's a little BS as well, because Major League Baseball had been thriving by that point. They had actual stable schedules, and teams even knew they had to play in a game to determine the champion. The moral of the story is, even if the Super Bowl ends 13-3, be grateful that the league is even organized enough to have a championship. So, the league has come a long way. We should be thankful to where it is now. I'm sure it has its downs, it has some ups, but at least there's no Muncie Flyers. Am I right? But anyway, this has been Chris Tiger, The Average Guy. You can follow me on twitch.tv/I'm The Average Guy. Follow SRS's Twitter account. Stay tuned to what's coming in the future. But thanks for being here. You guys have a great rest of your day. And as always, take care.
I call the shots, I run the balls, I'm Michael Jordan. Hit it with a little bit of push and a little bit of pull when a goddamn mic recording. I bring the heat, I rep the east, I like the south, so I don't even know what to do with the gold that I get, bitch. I'm Michael Phelps. I'm like LeBron, I get the gold, I'm Sherry Khan, you'll carry bronze. I'm Randy Moss, I'm Mary Khan, my game on Royce, I'm Barry Bonds.